time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen and Gager with you today. Matt Cassian is on a plane. And Gager, we actually never really asked where he was going, did we? He just said he's on a plane. I mean, maybe he's going on vacation or maybe he's flying somewhere for work.
He was leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when he'll be back again. That's what we got from Matt.
You know what's funny is I actually when that song came up, like when Armageddon used it, it was on the Armageddon soundtrack, and I loved it. I used to listen to that song all the time, man. God, that was weird.
Yeah, I remember watching that movie in Vancouver in the mean streets. I think it was on Burrard, the old Burrard Theater, and people were crying. I remember they were coming out crying after that movie. I watched two movies at that movie theater. There was Armageddon and Saving Private Ryan in the same one. And I only went to that movie. Actually, I did go to that movie 3 times. E.T. I watched E.T. in that movie.
You watched E.T.
every
in
time.
That theater? Wow.
E.T. Yeah, that's how old I am. E.T. Armageddon and Saving Private Ryan.
When you're talking Burrard, is it that Cineplex on the corner, like right there, or is this an older theater?
This is old school.
Oh, okay.
This isn't downtown. This is the other way.
The other way on Burrard. Okay, all right. Yeah, because I stay when I'm down there for CFL, I stay on Burrard. But
do you?
It's there's a theater kind of just down over the hill from where I stay. I've been there for a few movies myself, so yeah.
That's my. I got to come out for a game, Dusty. I could show you the ropes down there.
Yeah, no, that would be great. That would be outstanding stuff. So, so no cast today, but man, no shortage of things to talk about. So just the two of us today, as always, on the Nielsen Media Cool Bet Network, brought to you by great sponsors at CoolBet. Actually, one of the bets that I want to bring up here at CoolBet today, I was browsing around, figuring out what I'm going to do for my lock shot play of the day today. If you want to bet on the upcoming hot dog eating contest, obviously you can do that with July 4th just around the corner. NHL free agency, you can bet on a little bit. One of the questions is how many years will Austin Matthews' next contract be? 1 year is plus 1,500, 2 years is plus 200, 3, 4, and 5 are kind of the front runners here, with 5 years being plus 120. But 8 years is plus 1,000. And Gager, considering how good he is, I mean, I don't mind sprinkling plus 1,000 for him to get a max term deal. I know there's been talk about, he'd like the team to still have cap space and but most of these guys get the 8 years. I feel like a plus 1,000, I got to sprinkle it at least a little bit.
Yeah, especially with all the rumors that the cap's going to skyrocket over the next few, right? So I think his contract year comes at a perfect time for him to somewhat cash in. Man, I was watching a lot of Leaf stuff yesterday with them bringing back the core four, so to speak. And man, it's crazy what's going on there. And there was talks about the Shanna plan, only good for regular season victories and doesn't really care about the playoffs. And man, it's Toronto's. That's going to be a tough summer for them because they have to do something. Tree Living's got to do something to shake up this roster. It's a great regular season team, right? They're fantastic during the regular season, but just what's happened in the playoffs, the effort just isn't there. They're not even. It doesn't even seem like they're close yet, Dusty.
No, I would agree with that. They don't look like a team that's like, so close, just lost in the conference final, and they're going to get there. So I love your off-season shirt, by the way. That's good.
Oh,
that looks real nice.
I grabbed it this morning, and I was just a little tear. I saw some. I get the Twitter mentions of guys. I think it was Surveyor Brett that said, I didn't even know the draft was today.
I know. I saw that too. It's true, though. I mean, I barely even remembered the first round is yesterday because it was a Wednesday. Yeah.
It's just such a state of limbo for sports. It's like you have to hear it old school, and get word of mouth and talking to friends.
I'm not waiting. Like, I'm not going to read any or consume anything until on the Yamo trade until I pick up the newspaper tomorrow morning, Gage. That's what I'm going to do. It was weird like when that trade went down, I was actually in my car going to a meeting, and I was like, oh man, I couldn't even flip to the other guys because they got Stoff at noon. And then I was just like, shit. So,
Yeah.
but one off season is a true casualty of the Nielsen show getting axed for a little while at least. So yeah, that was I'm gonna miss off season, buddy. Not gonna lie. All right, but so yeah, Kyler Yamamoto and Klim Kostin. It didn't look like they're gonna get a deal done with Kostin. Apparently, he wanted close to $2 million, and this just didn't. The Oilers didn't have it. And then Kyler Yamamoto. You don't see a lot of real good future consideration trades nowadays, right? Like it just usually doesn't happen. Basically, they just gave these guys to Detroit, gave them away to get the cap space. Gage, your thoughts on? We'll get to Kostin in a second, but your thoughts on this is how Yamamoto's stint with the Oilers ended, basically being given away for free.
Well, first, it's puzzling to see how many top talented players are getting moved for nothing, right? And Yamamoto, a first rounder, going for future considerations. It's unbelievable what the landscape of the NHL is. I think he's a little bit of a casualty just with the season he had, lots of injuries. Scored a huge goal in the playoffs. I think I mentioned that last time on the podcast.
Yeah, he did. He had that one. Yep.
Man, you look at what's happening in the Pacific Division to get through to the conference final, Dusty. You got to add the beef. And Yamamoto, he's in that gray area. Is he top six? Is he not top six? That position where he is supposed to fit in needs to be solidified. He's either top six or bottom six, and going from there. And the production and what he was able to accomplish, it was only during Cass's nudie line days. That was it. And I got caught up. I always get caught up in these little heaters that guys go on. And I think it's gonna go on forever. But he never really established himself after that time playing with Nugent, Draisaitl, and I think that was kind of the writing on the wall that he needed to be moved, especially with his cap hit.
Yeah, it's I always said on my show when it existed that the Oilers wouldn't be a true contender until Yamamoto was a third line guy. Like until they had a real legit top six. I still think they only have 5, so this isn't an anti-Yamamoto play, but it opens up some room for them to get that 6th piece that can be locked in there, which I think is going to be important for them. What do you think he does in Detroit? Like, and we'll get to Puljujarvi and the double hip surgery in a second here, Gager, but do you see Yamamoto playing for 8 years in Detroit and scoring 17 goals a year, or what happens next for Kyler Yamamoto?
A team on the rise, so definitely he goes to a team where there's still opportunity for him to excel, I think. But sometimes a fresh start helps. Not that he wasn't getting ample opportunity to show what he was capable of in Edmonton, but
he
sometimes
got a ton of opportunity, right? Like he was always with the guys. Like,
dude, yeah. It's crazy how much and they enjoyed playing with him. But saying that, Dusty, it's not nice, but the way that a Holloway can look at this is that door opened a lot just now with that trade, right? Even with to solidify himself with a position playing with the more talented players on the Edmonton Oilers. So if I'm Dylan Holloway today, I'm sad to see a teammate go, but really excited for my opportunity to grab something at the beginning of the year and run with it here. So lose a good player. Everyone liked Yamo. Cass, he's probably his biggest advocate of his play without the puck and the way he did things around the ice. But definite opportunity for someone that's making a lot less to hopefully fill that void a little bit more.
I just took a look at the YouTube chat. We got some comments over there. If you want to chime in on the Twitter stream as well, you certainly can. We're discussing Yamamoto and Kostin being moved out. Jerry Mancini on the YouTube chat says he probably has the wrong podcast here, but Yamamoto is like the McLaren of Formula One. He has good days and bad days, but not good consistently, which if we were going to link him to an F1 team, I feel like McLaren's not a bad comparison, buddy.
Yeah, I'd put him East Papaya all the way. That's
Yeah.
just give you a little hint once in a while and do some good things, but unfortunately finished out of the points a lot.
Yeah, that's right. He just didn't have enough points, which is exactly what McLaren has issues with as well. We just saw a glimpse of Klim Kostin, buddy, and at times he looked great. I thought he provided something that I think they still need in their bottom six, and they don't necessarily have it. They couldn't afford to keep him around, apparently, because he looked like he loved being here. But Gator, at times the coaching staff just didn't have much faith in him. I think some of it was because of the player, but I don't know. Some of it I thought was a little bit unfair at times as well.
Yeah, did he fall into a little bit of that Puljujarvi kind of just didn't get the trust of the coaching staff? The eye test for me, and granted, I didn't have the ISO cam on him too much, but all accounts, he was a good teammate. He provided that physical play that I think it was needed in the bottom six, and he showed a little bit of touch around the net. Like that guy, he scored he scored some goals that meant something. He didn't score the fifth goal in a 5-1 win. Like he was scoring game tying or go ahead goals. Like he was providing important offense. So I understand trying to look for a little bit more money. But I think this is a missed opportunity for Klim Kostin. I think the Oilers did want to keep him, but he wanted too much. Going to Detroit, there will be opportunity, but look, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Klim Kostin, if he could get in with the Oilers, possibly get on a long playoff run, be one of those unsung heroes at an important time, and add some hardware to his already Russian jewelry kit with another ring. Man, that he would have. Sometimes you got to take a step back to gain a little bit more, and I think he missed the boat with this decision. I think his best bet was to stick with the Oilers.
Yeah, I mean, would have been nice to have some guidance from someone who said, "Hey, dude, listen, take $1 million, stay in Edmonton. They need to give opportunity to low-cost forwards, right?" And that certainly could have fit the bill. So let's take a look at the current cap situation here, Oilers, because Gager, let's see here. They've got guys under contract right now: McDavid, Leon, Hyman, Kane, Nuge, Fogle, Holloway. Derek Ryan is back for 2 years with a $900,000 cap hit. McLeod is an RFA. Bukestad, Janmark are UFAs. They're going to be moving on from shore. Matthias Janmark's agent met with Ken Holland in Nashville, so there might be an appetite for both sides to get a deal done there. Nurse, Ekholm, CC, Kulak, Broberg, Desharnais. They do have Nima Leinen right now at cap friendly up there. That 762 would probably not likely be on the cap in this situation, so we're pegging them for about $8.9 million in cap space right now to get McLeod done, to get Bouchard done. I think in a perfect world, they'd love to keep Bukestad. Maybe that Yamamoto opens up there. Chris Johnston is reporting that the Oilers are in the driver's seat to sign Connor Brown. Gager, do you think $9 million, let's say $9 million. Do you think $9 million is enough to get Bouchard, McLeod, Bukestad, and Connor Brown done?
It's going to be tough.
I think it might be.
But it's not out of the realm of possibilities either. A real important piece, just because of what happened with the trade in Los Angeles, with now Los Angeles looking like one of the strongest teams down the middle in the NHL. I worry a little bit about McLeod going up against one of those centers in the playoffs.
That's a great point, buddy. Great point.
In LA, and I do think I'd love to see Bukestad back, man. What he did in the playoffs was exactly what the Oilers needed. That big body could lean on guys a little bit more. I just haven't seen enough of McLeod in that situation. But right now, one of those three centers I think is going to feast on McLeod when it gets into a 7-game series. So the most important piece, I think, I hate to say it, is the signing of Bukestad to go up against that three-pronged massive man of the LA Kings. That's going to be very hard to play against. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because if you think about it here, Bouchard, I think you'd want. I mean, Bouchard's gonna like, he's a $4 or $5 million defenseman here, but can they convince him a couple of years, 3.5 ish, and then that's dangerous for them because if he puts up 70 points in each of the next 2 years, he's going to be a $9 million guy himself if he's a 70-point defenseman consistently. But it would allow them to keep more pieces around in this window, which has to be the focus right now. So, McLeod, maybe you get McLeod for 1.7 or something along 1.9. Get Bouchard. If you could have both Brown and Bugstad, that would be good. But if you add Brown, if he gets, I think I saw Chris Johnson's report was it'll be a little bit of a lower money deal that might be bonus incentive. So that makes me think if you can get Brown in here almost on a prove it deal for a year even, he can come in and play with his buddy Connor McDavid. He's played with Hyman in the past. Give Bugstad somewhere around $2.5 million. I think it might be possible to get that done. And then I don't know how much depth you'd have past these guys, but I wouldn't mind if the next week is Bouchard, McLeod, Bugstad, Brown, and maybe Janmark at like $900K or something if you can make it work.
That's ideal. But yeah, I think just like I said, just looking at what the Kings have done and also the Knights aren't going anywhere either.
No.
Big, tough guys down the middle is what you're going to need to get out of the Pacific, Dusty, let alone what happens in the Western Conference Final. So, I'd be looking to beef up that position first.
If you are watching on either of the live streams and you've not yet subscribed to the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast, make sure you're due. It's available on all of your podcasting platforms. And we got new episodes coming out twice per week, maybe a little hit and miss during the summer months with different guys on vacation and things like that. As far as the draft goes, Gager, they take Bo Aki. Bo, great name, spelled the same way as my middle name. I like that. Bo Aki, defensive right shot D-man, 6 feet 175, but by all accounts, defense is his calling card. Although he was stuck behind Brant Clark, so maybe there'll be more offensive opportunity for him moving forward. They take Nathaniel Day in the 6th round, a goaltender out of Flint in the Ontario Hockey League, and then out of Merrimack Hockey East, Matt Capone. He's a smallish center, and they take him in the 7th round. So we'll see what happens there. But your thoughts on reloading the pipeline on the blue line, which I think they kind of have to do, and likely why they took this defenseman in the 2nd round.
I like it. Like you said, like a lot's going to happen over the next few years with the Oilers window and retaining the likes of Bouchard, see the progress of Broberg. I always have a question mark with Niemelainen too. Like we all watched Nemo just blow up some guys. I wonder what it's going to look like for him coming into camp this year, and if he kind of can push to be in the lineup maybe, or start the season in Edmonton, depending on the play of other players. So, I'm a goalie, Dusty. You start at the back end, and you want good, solid defensemen around you. And look, that was kind of, when we look at the whole season, that was kind of the Achilles heel of the Oilers throughout. There wasn't that consistent defensive structure that throughout the whole year. It got better, definitely, from the last 30 games, but the Oilers need to hit the ground running defensively this year and establish just solid play throughout. They can't have any dips. Guys need to progress. They need to have coaches have trust in them throughout the whole season to gain that experience. So when it matters most, it's not a new type of situation for a lot of these players.
Gager, before we wrap this episode, and we'll have another one next week after the long weekend. Jesse Puljujarvi, double hip surgery, and I believe he's already had both his hips operated on. Double hip surgery again. Carolina's not going to qualify him. I would think that if he's going to play hockey again, depending on how double hip surgery goes again, I would think that it's overseas for now. Like, do you think we've seen the end of Jesse Puljujarvi in the National Hockey League?
Well, for now, yeah, we have Dusty. He's going to have to show what he can do after the surgery
Physically,
It's
right?
all,
Like, yeah.
yeah, like, and I don't see him taking a minor league deal to prove he can do that. I would probably see him back in
Finland and be a star.
back in Finland and his home team and go from there and see if he can come back at some point. But this gets to like the Oscar Klefbom kind of territory where it's quality of life too, Dusty. You don't want to be hobbling around as a young man because
this dude's in his mid-20s and he's had surgery on both hips twice. Like,
yeah, that's I was friends with Mike Comrie and he had that hip surgery, right? And I asked him, and this was kind of at the end of his career, but it's just so much pain, and to get back and the strength, it never really felt like it came back to 100%. So especially the way he plays, Dusty, I think that's unfortunately for you. I know the love affair, but
no, this is okay because now I can say he would have been a star if it wasn't for his hip issues.
Oh, okay, perfect. You have excuses.
I've got the ultimate out now, buddy. This is
awesome.
This is just fine. It definitely would have worked if it wasn't for the hip issues. You got to get those hips fixed. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Two Guys and a Goalie with Nielsen and Gager. Hopefully, Cass travels safely and is back with us again next week. Gager, you get back to work, buddy. Busy times for everybody. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Wait, Kent just sent me a text. He's right here, but he said Puljujarvi sucks.
Oh my God! You know what? I used to think he was funny, but now I just think he's sick.
I'll let him know.
I'll see you later, buddy. Tell him I say hi. See ya.